I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the three-time world champion, San Francisco Giants. With hosts Chad King and Eric Nathanson. This is Torture Cast.
It's Monday, March 4th, 2024, and this is episode 296 of the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Chad King, and joining me today from Arizona, Eric Nathanson. How are you, man?
I'm good, but I'm not in the good part of Arizona where our other compadre, Willie Dills, is right now. He's taking in a Rangers-Angels game, I believe it was, he told us today.
Yep.
He's having some fun down in spring training, and yes, I may be in Arizona, but I didn't get a chance to join him. So Chapman news came along. We figured we had to get something together. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we're talking Giants ball again.
Yeah, we didn't know when we were going to record, probably in a couple of weeks, and that's basically what happened. The Giants did move the needle a little bit. They went ahead and committed to free agent third baseman Matt Chapman. We were all hoping that might be able to happen, and it did. And they signed him to kind of your typical Farhan deal, 3 years with 2 opt-out years for $54 million. And so after year 1, he can opt out. If he chooses to stay, he can opt out after year 2. And so it's again, I think it's interesting, Eric, because we're in one of those situations where, look, I mean, I'll take a Matt Chapman he's getting paid 18 or 20 this year. I've seen varying reports. It scales down a little bit as the 3 years go by. But I thought the first I read was 20, 18, then 16. For the 3 successive years.
Same.
So if he gets 20 this year and, you know, he has a near all-star caliber year, yeah, you're going to see him walk again because most likely someone's going to offer him more than 18 next year and maybe an extra year or two. So he kind of gets that, you know, longevity. And it's weird as a Giants fan because you're like, you hope he does well. But then you hope he doesn't do too well to then leave the team. But you're just kind of left in this limbo situation, right? But it's worked out for the Giants in a lot of situations. Recently, it didn't work out, you know, really well for the Gausman deal. They really could have used him. But then you look at Carlos Rodon. And I mean, that really worked out for the Giants, right? So, I mean, they weren't locked into that kind of ridiculous of a contract. And look how he bombed last year. And now his health is seriously in question. But I don't know. I mean, I'm happy about it. Look, the guy had a 4.4 WAR last year. A lot of that comes from his defense. He's a platinum glove kind of caliber guy. You know, his offense is good. Better than a Casey Schmidt right now. Probably slightly better than a J.D. Davis right now. But I think the way some people were reacting to it was like he was the next coming of Matt Williams or Brooks Robinson, and he's not that, right? I mean, if you look at his career numbers, he's a career 240 hitter. He hit 240 last year, 229 the year before that. He averages about 122 games played per year. You know, the last few years closer to 140, which is great for durability. No doubt about that. And he averages about 22 bombs and 61 RBI. So this is not, I mean, for people who think, oh, we got a 3,100 guy. No, that's not who we got. We got a guy who's probably going to eclipse 20 or be around it, maybe 50 to 75 RBI, but play hella good defense. And that's who we got. And I think it's a good signing. What do you think?
Well, I love the signing. I mean, that was the one name that has been connected to the Giants since the moment they hired Bob Melvin and free agency started. Chappie was Melvin's third baseman in Oakland, and I'm looking back on his Oakland stats as we're talking right now.
They were so good in Oakland.
I mean, 2019, the guy just went off, and that was just 5 years ago. It's not that long ago. It was his age 26 year. He hit 36 bombs, drove in 91. He had his highest OPS. Well, he had 848 OPS. He had an 864 OPS the year before. The last few years, it's declined, like you said, 755 last year, 757 the year before that. But those are his numbers with Toronto. So who knows if that's, going to stay there. Maybe Melvin's the key. It's the fact that his WAR is higher than any Giants position player last year,
Yep.
immediately makes this an upgrade signing. And the best part about this is the Giants didn't say, oh, we need a third baseman, or oh, we need this, or oh, we have to plug a hole. They said, okay, this is the guy with the most talent. He can upgrade our ball club immediately, no matter what position it is he plays. We'll figure everything else out later. And they made the signing, and that's what I absolutely love about it. Between this and the Soler signing, I don't want to say I'm starting to come around a little bit, because it's really hard to bring me around right now on seeing a successful season. But Soler and Chapman make me feel like I'm starting to see some direction. I'm starting to see the front office be like, okay, we're going to pay for talent. Now, we'll get into the rotation later, but the Chapman signing, I mean, the guy's 2 platinum gold gloves. He's going to immediately help the pitching staff on a defensive side. Like you said, he's a 240, 230 type hitter, but he's going to drive in runs, but he's going to strike out a lot like any other Giant. So he fits in kind of to the mold of what a Giants player is. I'm looking, he walked 62 times last year and 581 plate appearances. It's one every 9.5 that he walked. So that's not horrible. It's not like he's going stretches and stretches of days without walking. Clearly has a decent eye. So this is a great addition to the ball club. It is a bit of a needle mover, finally. I mean, it's not the guy that's going to make everybody stay in their seats, but he's a guy that's going to be dramatically help the ball club improve. He's probably worth at least 2 wins on his own at this point, then, I would say.
And this is what, Farhan's 6th or 7th year with the club. And out of all that time, like you said, he would have been the highest WAR position player last year. Over Farhan's entire tenure with the Giants, that 4.4 WAR would be the 3rd highest of any Giant of any year since Farhan has managed this team or been the GM of this team. So, yeah, we're getting a significant upgrade anywhere across the board. So there's no doubt about it. And I mean, yeah, so Soler and Chapman are going to strike out a ton, but guess what? We're also going to have a lot of those magical games where they go back to back, or, one of them hits 2 bombs in a game, the other one hits 1 bomb. I mean, there are going to be games like that. And so you got to take the bad with the good. And overall, it's a serious upgrade. And, going into this offseason with a lot of question marks and Farhan really not able to land that big fish. I mean, these aren't the biggest fish in the world, but these are big fish. There's no doubt about it. Has seriously upgraded the offense of this roster. And, we'll talk about it when we do our preseason predictions. But the offensive side and most of the defense is starting to look pretty damn solid right now. But like you said, we'll get to pitching in a minute, which has always been the Giants' strength. So for the first time in a little while, I'm feeling okay with the offense and defense going into this year.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of set positions going on. We know Conforto is going to be in left, Lee in center. We know Soler is going to be the DH. Yeah, should be pretty steady in right. Chapman clearly is going to be there at third. And bringing in Chapman helps a guy like Luciano, who is trying to learn the game at the major league level right now. I mean, not that he hasn't been around for a few years, but that is so helpful to have a guy like that next to you, who either has the range to cover certain balls until you learn which ones you can get to or you can't, things like that. And his throws will help Lamont Wade Jr. at first base. It creates a gluttony with Wilmer Flores and JD Davis. And having a gluttony, like you said, of position players is not a space that Giants are used to being in. It's usually all about the pitching. And right now, I don't want to say they have a loaded offense, because there's a lot of
No.
replacement level bats in the lineup right now, but they've got a pretty good chance of scoring some runs this year. And it's better than the offense that they were looking at last year. It just has to be. Excuse me. There's no way they're going to reproduce. Weren't they? They were so low, I think, in some of the scoring stats last year.
Yeah.
And they weren't scoring as many runs.
No, the run
The
production was
pitching
way
was
down.
not the problem. Right. The pitching was not the problem. So at least they're addressing those problems. So I give Farhan a lot of credit for the deal. I give Chapman a lot of credit for wanting to come play for Melvin again. And I have to laugh at Scott Boras, because I'm sure Chapman could have gotten a better deal earlier in the offseason. And now he has to settle for playing 1 year with 2 different opt-outs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be really weird. I mean, he might only be with the Giants for a year. Well, we'll see what happens.
He might like it. I mean, who knows? Maybe they have a great year and he's like, oh, yeah, this is where I want to be. I love Bob Melvin. And he might decide to stay, and they could restructure at that time if they want to. There's nothing to say that he has to leave after this year. But like you said, you want him to do great so the Giants will play well, but then that adds the risk of him leaving. And that's a very Giantsy thing to do.
It's a very Giantsy thing to do, right? One of the good things about all of this, besides the offense, is now we get to focus on the pitching, which we usually don't focus on, which is kind of funny. We'll circle back to the shortstop position in a bit. But Tristan Beck, who was kind of slated to be their number 5 starter, he started having hand pain a couple of weeks back. And long story short, this is caused by an aneurysm in his upper arm. So today he was undergoing the knife to relieve that issue. And his timetable is unknown right now. They won't know more until after the surgery and how it went and what his prognosis is. But he's guaranteed to be out for the start of the season. We just don't know for how long. And so right now, the rotation is slated to be Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, Keaton Winn, and then question mark for the number 5 starter. And if you just look at those top 4, let's not even think about 5. 3 and 4 are highly questionable. You have Jordan Hicks, career reliever, who's going to be stepping into the starting role for, he had a brief stint as a starter with the Cardinals. It didn't go well. So we'll see if the Giants are able to turn that around. And of course, Keaton Winn has very limited action from last year. He definitely had flashes of brilliance, but we know how that goes. So he doesn't necessarily have to be the second coming of Logan Webb or anything like that. But as long as he's serviceable, that'll be fine. But at number 5, I mean, we're really looking at, Sean Hjelle, Kai-Wei Teng, maybe a Mason Black, who was a non-roster invitee. I mean, other than that, and skipping the 5th guy, of course, every so often with off days. I mean, what's your kind of assessment of all this right now? Because one thing I will say is a lot of Giants fans were really excited about the possibility of also getting Blake Snell or Montgomery. And look, I know the GM isn't always going to, he already kind of indicated they were going to stand pat before the Chapman signing, right? And they ended up signing Chapman. So, take this with a grain of salt. But according to Bob Nightingale, yesterday, Farhan Zaidi reiterates the Giants likely will not add another marquee free agent starter. Quote, "We have talked all offseason and have been very consistent that our plan was to continue to graduate some of our young players. The offseason is really over as far as I'm concerned." End quote. So, if you take that at face value, they're not going to go after Snell. So let's just, for this exercise and this discussion, Eric, they don't get either one of those pitchers. They don't sign anyone else. They're going forward with what they have. Who's number 5 right now? Is this just going to be a pure spring training competition? I mean, do you see any crazy, wild cards or dark horses emerging from this group?
Eric Surkamp.
Ah, my
Wait,
God.
no.
That's a blast from the past.
What was that, like 15 years ago?
Oh, yeah, that was like mid-2000s or something. Yeah. Eric Surkamp. Oh, my God.
Well,
with a K.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I hated his name. It just looked weird. The thing of it is like you said, 2 weeks ago, Farhan said we're done, and then they signed Chapman. And then here Farhan goes again saying we're done. Is it just another ploy to screw with Boris and play the game and do those kinds of things? So, I mean, I'm not 100% certain they're done, but like you say, supposing that they are done, I think it's just an open competition. I think they're going to patch it together with whoever they can. It might be Hjelle here, Tang there. Like you said, Black's around as well. Like, they're going to give guys a chance to just get some innings. And if there's a hot starter in AAA, maybe they'll bring him up for one of the spot starts until Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb come back. And that's the good they're selling us. Hey, Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb are coming back. That's as good as making a trade or a free agent signing, getting something like that. And on the surface, I get it. It is. But you still got to get through the first few months. If you're not in contention by the time these guys get back, it doesn't freaking matter at that point. So I'm with you. I'd like to see them still be in the hunt for a Snell or Montgomery because, yes, then if you bring Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb back and your rotation's looking like Logan Webb, Harrison, Hicks, Snell's, and then you got either Ray or Cobb, then you have a gluttony of starting pitching all of a sudden. And you go from a weakness to a strength. And so I don't see any problem with trying to still add one of these guys. So I'd love to still see them add one of these guys. But with Farhan's track record, it's going to end up being the open competition. But he could surprise the hell out of us again. This could be all trickeration, and he's just trying to play the game and get Snell for less money.
Yeah, according to Pavs yesterday, Farhan Zaidi said Alex Cobb is due back, quote, relatively soon into the year. Cobb's teammates have been surprised by how far along he is in camp, and it's notable that the Giants have not put him on the 60-day IL. So again, no timetable, but all indications are that he is going to be back before the All-Star break, almost certainly. We just don't know when that's going to be. And Robbie Ray probably just after the All-Star break. At least those are the first kind of guesses right now. And that's a long way away. You know, if Alex Cobb and Ray are both out until July, I mean, that is all of April, all of May, and all of June to try and figure out the number 5 starter. So hopefully Cobb can come back a little bit sooner rather than later. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. I mean, as a fan, it's kind of fun in a way to kind of see how these young guys respond, but obviously you don't expect these guys to come out and just be able to do, you know, what they're doing. Apologize for the dog in the background. Going off only during phone calls for work and podcasts, of course.
Of course. You have headphones on. I'm going to bark.
Yeah, I'm going to let you talk and go ahead and try and get my dog out of here.
Well, that's what the crux of it is with the rotation. Just, you know, even when they come back, how do we know if this guy's going to even be good? You got to take time to be healthy and work yourself into shape. Harrison's such a question mark in my mind because we have no idea how he's going to be after his workload last year. Hicks transitioning from he's a bullpen guy, he's the starter guy. There's just more question marks than I can remember for any other Giants staff over the last few years. You know, they were always set with like a significant 1-2. And while Webb was the, you know, third best WAR among pitchers in baseball last year, according to Baseball Reference, you know, there's not a 2 behind him as much. We have a solid number 1, but we have to see who's going to be a number 2. So I think it's going to be fun, kind of, to see who can step up a little bit here. I'm excited to see Harrison get his chance in a full season, and I'm curious to see what Hicks can do. It's just a bummer what happened to Beck because I would just write him off for the whole season at this point. I wouldn't.
I'm not even familiar with that kind of condition, an aneurysm in your arm.
David Cohn had the aneurysm happen. I believe he was a Met back in the 90s, and he reached out to talk to Tristan Beck about it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the surgery that he's going to undergo is apparently more advanced than the one Cohn underwent. And I'm not sure if Cohn made it back that specific season. And I know they're shooting for him to come back this season, but it would be great if the Giants give themselves a reason not to rush him back.
Yeah.
And so I figure you write him off for the year and you go with the guys we've been talking about.
Interesting. Well, I mean, this is going to be just a developing story over the summer or over the spring. It's going to be kind of fun, a little scary, a little unnerving, but, you know, I don't know how far into kind of the starter or the opener kind of procedure that Bob Melvin would be willing to go. I don't know how often he used it, if at all, in San Diego. Obviously, Kapler used it to an extreme, but it could be a potential solution to the 5th starter as well. If they just can't find that reliable, regular person to slot in, maybe it is something they got to, you know, take some of the long relievers and have them open, or bounce guys up and down from AAA and do that fun roster merry-go-round to try and keep arms fresh. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. They've gotten by with worse pitching in the past. So it's not like they're staring down a bunch of raggedy arms at this point. They just have unproven is really what the biggest deal is. So it can go in either direction. The key is if they don't, you know, if Bob Melvin doesn't like stay with someone too long. If somebody's not working out, I hope that they continue to mix it up and not just keep trying to shove the same peg into the wrong hole at that point. So at least I hope they take it from that approach. So it's gonna be so fascinating though. It's weird having the offense feel kind of set and the pitching staff not, but that's what we got going on this year, and it kind of makes for interesting. I mean, this is a completely different offseason than the Giants have had the last few years. Yeah, again, they were, you know, oh my God, they might sign Ohtani. No, they never had a chance to.
No,
you know, it's not like they got spurned. You know, this isn't like they got spurned by the big free agents this year and stuff like that. No, they made some signings. They tried to improve their club. And now it's time to see what some of these guys have. I mean, that's why you part with the, I know he's not a pitcher, but that's why you part with like a Brandon Crawford. It's time to take a look at some of the other guys that are in the organization, see if they can start stepping up instead of trying to do the same thing over and over again. So I commend the Giants about that, Chad. I really think this is a chance for them to have a fresh start this season, and I'm kind of starting to look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not on the train that I was in the past couple of years of in Farhan we trust, but I will defend him in the sense of the Giants have spent the second most money this offseason, and that was even before the Chapman deal.
Right.
So for those Giants fans that are chomping at the bit saying the Giants aren't doing anything and they're not making any moves and they never land the big free agent, okay, besides Ohtani, like who else out of the other 29 teams landed the quote big free agent, right? The year before that, they had signed Correa, and it was just the physical thing that got screwed up. The Aaron Judge thing didn't work out because they were being used as leverage. So what are you going to do?
And that was a whole year with all the shortstops. Like last offseason was just such an anomaly with having these like big name shortstops all come up for these huge contracts. We didn't have that kind of stuff happening this year. It wasn't like they had to get competitive to get one of the best at a certain position. It was just a matter of plugging their own holes.
Yeah, so, look, the Giants have done what they can, and if they don't get Snell or Montgomery, I'm not going to fault them. They've already spent a ton of money. Granted, not very long contracts, so I do still think that they have the flexibility to do it, but Boris is definitely the kind of person who, I don't know, just his pitchers, he really tries to get them on those long-term deals because pitching is just such a wild card in terms of injury and career longevity that it's sometimes hard. I mean, thank God the Giants did sign Rodon to the opt-out. Because he had a great year with the Giants. He opted out, and then it blew up in the Yankees' face. So, it is what it is. It's less likely for that scenario to happen with Chapman, just because we all know the wear and tear on the arm. It's so fickle sometimes. You just brought up Brandon Crawford, and I wanted to circle back to that because of the infield situation. Now with the signing of Matt Chapman, first of all, J.D. Davis, by the way, who's already hit 2 bombs in the spring, found out about the deal over social media while he was watching Dune 2 over the weekend. So that must be a little odd. Look, J.D. Davis.
It's not a ringing endorsement of Dune 2 if J.D. Davis is scrolling social media while he's watching a movie.
That's just true. Saying, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why is he on his phone? Probably someone texted him and said, bro, did you see this? Yeah. And he's like, what? Who knows? that's conjecture.
Not a huge endorsement of Dune 2. I don't know. I thought the first one back in the day were boring, so I'm not giving these a try. But hey, maybe.
Side note, I did like number 1, and I did go see number 2 with my family, and I really enjoyed it. So I do give it.
Okay, so it wasn't as boring as the joke I'm trying to make.
No. They're very, very good. I think they're very, very good. And all the reviews are out. They're very good too. Anyway, beside the point.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Go see Dune 2. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care what you do. With J.D. Davis kind of slotted in to be the starting third baseman, Wilmer Flores kind of taking some reps there. You got first base with Lamont and maybe Wilmer kind of switching off there. Then you have Luciano at short. It's going to be interesting because now that you have Chapman here, J.D. Davis, who can play first, is a possibility. But we all know about the Brandon Crawford issue right now. We were wondering if the Giants were going to maybe sign him to a kind of a goodbye contract. But as it turns out, that was not in the Giants' best interest as far as Farhan Zaidi saw it. And last week, Brandon Crawford signed a 1-year, $2 million major league contract with the St. Louis Cardinals. Number 1, it's going to be really weird to see him in any other uniform. He bleeds black and orange. I mean, you want to talk about a forever Giant. We all know about that picture of him as a kid begging Mr. White not to move the franchise. Of course, he famously recreated it as an adult, right? That's like me or you becoming the starting shortstop for the Giants for 12 years, 13 years,
Well, yeah.
What an incredible life that he's lived in terms of that sporting, channel that he's gone through. And he did indicate after the season that he really did want to play at least one more year, and he wanted to play with the Giants. And so he had a private meeting with Farhan after the winter meetings, and it came out in The Athletic with Bags, and I don't want to, hack it apart, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but essentially it was summed up by him saying he was willing to come back in a part-time role, He was willing to come back for minimal money. He was willing to come back and play any position that they wanted. He wanted to be a mentor. He wanted to be there for all the young kids that he could advise. And we're not talking just Luciano, but Casey Schmidt and others as well. This is him, I think, truly being a fan of the franchise and wanting to help out the franchise in any way possible. He was willing to do anything, but he did want to be on the Major League roster. And Farhan basically was like, yeah, we just don't see a role for you. Sorry. And they parted ways. He said, we can offer you a non-roster invitee or invite to spring training, and you could, quote, try and make the club. And look, I got to be honest. If that actually was said, that's an insult. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an insult to not want him on the team, but I think it's an insult to tell this forever Giant that you're going to compete for a position. I think it's like you just pull off the Band-Aid and say, just Brandon, it's just not going to work out. You know, we just don't have a role for you. But to like offer him a non-roster invitee, I think was kind of not the best policy there. So Brandon came out publicly and said, basically, the person that matters didn't want me. St. Louis did. And so here we go. Now the Giants invite Nick Ahmed to the camp on a minor league deal, not a major league deal. And that is a huge distinction there. And I think a lot of Giants fans have jumped the gun in terms of getting super angry about this. And if they're justifying it by, well, how can you not sign Brandon Crawford, but go ahead and sign Nick Ahmed, who got rejected and DFA'd by the Arizona Diamondbacks? That makes no sense, man. You hate him. You hate him. You've hated him from the start. It's like, no, guys, the deals are totally different. Basically, Brandon Crawford was not going to accept a minor league deal, period. The only way he'd play for the Giants is with a major league deal, but he was willing to take a limited role. Nick Ahmed is like, geez, man, I want to just play baseball. I don't care. Any team, take me. Minor league deal. So to me, I see both sides of the argument here. As a fan, I would have loved to have seen Brandon Crawford on this team one more year to give him that proper send-off, to give him that proper goodbye. I do think there would have been some benefit for him being there to advise some of the younger kids. However, conversely, he pointed out, Zaidi actually said he didn't want Crawford on the team because he thought him being there would be too much pressure on Luciano and the others. And I don't buy that.
I agree there.
You
See,
do.
I do.
Huh?
I buy that.
You do. See,
Yes,
I don't
do.
because I'm like, you're in the major leagues.
Giants legend.
Sink or swim, baby.
He's a Giants legend. His presence hangs over the position right now. He won 2 World Series. He is you just gave the description. He is the San Francisco Giant of San Francisco Giants. You know, he is the embodiment of this franchise. And to keep that presence in the clubhouse, keep that presence hanging over Luciano's always going to feel like, oh, I got to live up to this. I got to be, how am I supposed to compete with this? How am I supposed to compete with this pillar of Giants historic Giants baseball? And so I totally get it. I do. I totally get getting him out of the room. I'm glad they got him out of the room. It's sorry if Giants fans, it sounds horrible.
No.
I'm glad they got rid of Brandon Crawford.
This is where I'm saying. I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, and that's fine. That's your opinion, and that's what Zaidi said. I don't necessarily agree with that. At least that's not the way I would run the club. But for a different reason.
Right.
They just didn't. He doesn't have the roster flexibility of someone else, you know, who can play outfield, infield, first base, pinch hit, defense, speed runner, right? We're talking about the 26th guy on the roster. Brandon Crawford does not fit the definition of what your 26th man is going to be. And that was my big issue with it.
And
it was
so,
like, I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Han's mentality is this guy's an icon. You know, I'm just being frank by saying the only way you can get on is if you have to fight for a job. And you know, he respects him enough, in my mind. And it's funny because this is me defending Farhan when I've been the biggest Farhan basher lately. But I think it is respectful to say, you know, look, this is all we're going to be able to look at you for. You are going to be a 26 man on our roster. So if you have the opportunity to go find a major league deal somewhere, go do it.
Yeah.
And Crawford, you know, bless him. He's a ball player. Ball players want to play. And there's no way, again, that he's going to take a minor league deal. Because, again, he's an established major league veteran. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the exposure. And he doesn't want to ride the buses. So unless he's going to get guaranteed a major league deal, he's not going to sign with someone. And that was not going to happen with the Giants. So I mean, I get it. You get the presence out. Posey's gone. We're done. We have no more of the 20 of the title teams left.
Yeah, and
we've nobody left
because we can't count Panda. He's just in for fun, basically.
Right. Yeah, he's totally. Yeah, he doesn't. He's just having. He's retiring a Giant. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. He says he wants to make the team, but Melvin's been pretty clear that he has to shock and awe them. Basically, he has to make the case.
If there's no room for Crawford, there's no room for Panda, especially after Matt Chapman signed.
No. It's not happened, especially after Chapman. I'm sure even Panda saw that and said, "Well, I probably wasn't going to make the team anyway, but now I'm really not making the team."
I'm sure he saw it and thought to himself, "Oh crap, I might not get as many at bats now in the spring that I wanted to get. My time's running out even faster."
Yeah, no,
I'm okay with turning the page.
Yeah, he's 0 for 8 now, I think, in the spring anyway. So yeah, he's already started off not with any kind of argument to keep him. But look, I'm with you there, though. We may slightly disagree on certain aspects of it, but the main crux of it is utility. And the guy was a minus 1.3 WAR last year, 195 or 194 batting average, and the year before that wasn't that much better. I mean, it's sad because it's 2021 year when they won 107 games, just like with a Buster Posey, just like with a Brandon Belt. They had freaking career years. He was 5th in the MVP voting, for God's sakes. Right. I mean, he had 25 home runs, over 90 RBI. He had like 296. I mean, he was an all-star. He was fantastic. And so the Giants, thanked him by giving him that 2-year large contract, and it didn't work out. So the Giants didn't, quote, owe him anything, for the fans who think that. You want the team to win. And look, they parted ways with Brandon Belt. Buster Posey, of course, retired. You go back into the days, they traded, Willie Mays. Willie McCovey became an A, for God's sakes. You had, a lot of forever Giants being traded away or just not re-signed. You had Joe Montana go to the Chiefs. I mean, it happens. Right. Jerry Rice playing with the Raiders. It's just a normal part of the game. And Brandon Crawford isn't even at those levels of a Jerry Rice or Joe Montana or anything like that, or Willie Mays or Willie McCovey. But I guess in my heart, I wish he was with the Giants, but with my head, I know that it was the right call.
Well, it's just, to me, at some point we have to turn the page.
Yeah, we have
literally at some point. And Crawford outlived any expectations of what we had for him.
If he hit 250 last year and had a positive WAR, I think you'd see him with the Giants this year. I really do.
But I totally agree. It's performance based at this time, and so happy trails to him. It's going to be freaking weird, though. It's just going to be freaking weird to see him in a Cardinals. All the red. We saw the picture that was shared on Facebook. You shared, and that was weird. But just seeing him with his hair coming out under the helmet, and his little twitches and mannerisms in the batter's box. Seeing the specific guards that we're used to seeing are black or orange on him are now going to be red. It's just going to be very, very weird.
Yeah,
and it's a part of life, though. It's very, very weird.
It was interesting to see, like, his wife, of course, is a prolific social media kind of influence out there, or presence, I should say. And they had gone skiing in Flagstaff, Arizona, a couple of weeks back, and they happened to all be wearing these matching red outfits, because the whole family is always like color matching. And then she posted that after the signing, and she said, "I think red is a great color." And it was almost like, dang, man, there's like here's like poke, right, Giants? Not to the fans, of course, purely to the front office. And then Brandon Crawford himself posted a little tribute to the fans and said they're the greatest in baseball. And then, of course, he thanked the front office, including Bobby Evans and Brian Sabian. No mention, of course, of the current regime, right? Like, it was a pretty clear distinction. He was thanking the previous administration, essentially. And then he already changed his profile pic to one of those like Photoshop swaps of him like fielding a baseball, but he's all in Cardinals gear. So it was like, he's already switched. Here it is. But hey, look, at least the Cardinals have a good looking uniform. So,
he's still going to end up on the Wall of Fame.
Oh,
he's still going to be in the public spotlight as a Giant after he retires.
Oh yeah, he'll come back.
He shows up at the stadium. He'll be wearing a Giants cap or orange and black, and everybody will cheer him.
There's no doubt.
Who
about
knows?
all
He may
that.
even get into broadcasting or get into the front office somehow. But Brandon Crawford's always going to be a Giant. And I kind of think that's what makes this fun. Like another 10 years from now, when we look back and we'll be like, you remember that one year Craw went to the Cardinals? Man, that was weird, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm so glad he's back now. It's going to be that kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be that. Yeah, that was really weird when he went. I mean, Mike Piazza played for the A's. Like you just a lot of weird things like this happen. It's going to be a little blip on the back of his baseball card, and that's it. And the Giants
that's what it is.
Play the Cardinals at in Alabama at, what is it, Rickman Field or whatever it is. That's the first time they'll see him. And then the last home series of the year for the Giants is against the Cardinals. Who knows where Brandon Crawford will be at that time. I mean, look, guys, he was signed a $2 million 1-year contract. There's no guarantee he's even going to be on the team by then. It has definitely happened in the past before where, aging stars have just been so bad, they're DFA'd, right? So that could happen. You never know. But right now he's supposed to back up their, rookie phenom who's only started like 37 games so far. But he's going to get some playing time. He's going to get some spot starts. He's going to get his ABs. But
he's a good veteran to bring in.
It is.
He really is. As a side note, Pablo Sandoval is 0 for 9 with 6 strikeouts.
There you go. Yeah. I knew he was 0 for 7 coming into today's game, and he grounded out weakly his first at-bat today. I was listening to the game. That's not good. Speaking of spring training, the Giants did start the year, the spring, 0-5-2, but they've won their last 2. And after they won their first, Bob Melvin was quoted as saying, "If we didn't win today, our fundamental tomorrow would have been bringing guys off the field, shaking hands to remind them." He's definitely got some dry wit about him. I love that. That's pretty good. So look, I've already heard people on KMBR going, "Oh, they haven't even won a game yet, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, look, guys, come on, don't worry about it. Yeah, you want to get a couple of wins here and there, don't get me wrong, but you're playing everyone. It's not the core team. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. This is really about exhibition games to, put the rookies and the guys who want to make the roster through their paces and trying to filter out who they think is the best to make the opening day roster. And for the veterans to get, their ABs and some reps, just getting ready to start the season. They don't care if they win or lose. They're not putting in the best pitchers and the best hitters in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning to come back in a game or to hold a game. That's not the point. So I don't know why people get so focused on it. And then they point to the Dodgers and go, "Well, they're 9-2." Well, yeah, I think their whole system could just win everything all the time. So I think that's kind of a relevant point.
The buzzsaw is going to cut what's in front of it.
Yeah,
it doesn't care what time of year it is.
But speaking of, it's funny, we talked about Nick Ahmed already. He's got 6 ABs. He's already got 2 home runs. That's kind of interesting. Luis Matos, by the way, he put on about 15 pounds of muscle over the offseason, and he's leading the team for the spring with 3 home runs and 15 at-bats. Patrick Bailey's got a grand slam in there. Jung-Hoo Lee had a home run the other day. He's hitting .417 for the spring. J.D. Davis got a couple of bombs. So some of these guys are looking pretty good. You have, like you just said, Panda was 0 for 9. Conforto is 0 for 10 right now. Lamont Wade, he did hit a home run today apparently, but he hasn't been doing great. I mean, just don't worry about this too much, guys. It's all right. Who else was 0 for today, or I should say overall? I don't want to accept and continue.
Not Ismail Munguia.
Oh yeah,
the guy is 7 for 10. I mean, talk about being on fire. The guy is 7 for 10 with 2 home runs. Like, he's only struck out 1 time. He's got 3 stolen bases too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy is. Promote him now, but I'm just kidding. Don't. But I mean, that's what happens is the Ismail Munguias of the world go off in the beginning of spring training, and Michael Conforto's 0 for 10. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because Munguia's been chomping at the bit to get out there. He's got something to prove. Michael Conforto, he's your starting left fielder. He ain't got nothing to prove.
Yeah, even though that Crawford isn't here to, quote, put pressure on Luciano, he is already 0 for 9 before today's game with 5 strikeouts. So not so much. Casey Schmidt is also 0 for 9 but with only 2 Ks. Not the best start.
That's an improvement for Schmidt, though. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Last
it is,
year
right?
Been like 5 or 6 Ks. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God,
look,
Nick Ahmed sounds fantastic right now. If we were to put stock in everything, 2 weeks from now, if it still looks like this, we're gonna have
no,
some
definitely
problems.
it's not. I know. I love people who
Oh
look
man,
at the beginning of spring training going, well, he's 10 for 10, sign him. He's 0 for 9,
right?
cut him. And it's like, yeah, if you look,
Nick Ahmed's hitting 625. Calm it down. He's not gonna hit 625.
yeah, there are stretches that even Shohei Ohtani in the middle of a season in his worst stretch goes 0 for 9. It happens. It's just baseball.
Right?
It's
Yep.
part of the game. Okay. It's just that I
Ball
feel bad
finds a
because
glove.
Luciano does, even without Crawford, he really does have a lot of pressure on him. He was basically anointed as the starter for the Giants, but without the guarantee. You know what I mean? Like they were looking for him to be the starter. But Bob Melvin already this spring has been very clear saying he is not the guaranteed starter. No, 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 no. We are looking at everyone. So if he wants it, he's got to get it. And
I'll
so
tell you,
far,
Matos jumps out at me.
yeah, Matos is looking really good so far. He took the offseason
Like
seriously
he bulked up, and I mean he's the odd man out of the starting three in the
in the
outfield of
outfield. Yeah.
Conforto, Lee, and Yastrzemski. But I mean, if he wants to face left-handed starters, that's what he's trying to get in there because he's the fourth outfielder right now, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is trying to force the issue, and I'd love to see if Matos is forcing the issue this season, that means their offense is humming because that means he's really trying to get his way into the lineup. He might do it. He might force his way into that everyday lineup, and Conforto or Yastrzemski might take a hit.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want to do defensively, but Lee is going to stay in center. So I love seeing Matos come in, and he's kind of shaking it up. He's kind of saying, "You want me to be the fourth outfielder? Oh, maybe I'm good enough to be a starter." So, yeah, I like to see that hunger from the young guys. I just kind of wish Luciano was having that spring.
Yeah, I do too, because that shortstop is going to be a glaring hole. But I don't know. I mean, they signed Chapman into this deal, $20 million, and I know that he expects to play third. So I don't think we're going to see him shifting over to short. But I tell you what,
Yeah.
if Luciano was to bomb and Chapman was amenable to it, that'd be kind of cool. JD Davis at third and Chapman at short. I know we won't. I'm just saying. In a video game world, my video game manager might do that.
Well, I mean, quickly because I know we got to move on to a couple more things before we get out of here. But this now opens the door for JD Davis or Wilmer Flores to be traded.
Absolutely.
The
100%.
whole Chapman deal. And I think when one of those happens, none of us should be surprised. I'm not sure who teams will value more, JD Davis or Wilmer. They both have the very similar flexibility as far as playing the corners. They're both veteran bats. Wilmer's clubhouse presence might carry a little bit more weight. I'm not sure. He's been the best hitter on the Giants for 2 years. So I prefer they don't trade Wilmer and they do trade Davis.
Hmm.
That's what I'm looking for. But it definitely is going to be part of this Matt Chapman being a Giant is getting rid of either one of those two. I would think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And they're already playing with house money in regards to JD Davis because they traded for him with Darren
Right.
Ruff. I mean, like, okay. So if they can turn JD Davis into something equivalent or better, they're just multiplying that original investment of Darren Ruff. So that would be pretty sweet. So I mean, I like JD Davis and he's a great player, but yeah, when you don't want to waste these guys, right? You don't want to have them just
Right.
languishing on the bench. You want to be able to get some value
And
out of that, and that could be a starter or a long reliever or something like that.
he doesn't want to sit on the bench either. So
No,
he'd rather have a more active role on the team. He doesn't want to be the 27th man on a 26-man roster. So,
yeah.
it's the kind of thing that works out best for everybody.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, this morning there was a little note that said that Madison Bumgarner has been rumored to talk to his friends about wanting to give it one more shot. And he still owed $14 million from the Diamondbacks this year in 2024 as part of that 5-year, $85 million contract he signed with Arizona before the 2020 season. And in no way am I suggesting the Giants should look at him. I'm just wondering, Eric, I mean, what do you think it takes? I don't know the inner workings of that. I mean, he has his agent and he's going to reach out. But the fact that, okay, maybe he's been chopping logs and working out at home. He's not even a non-roster invitee to spring training. I mean, how in the world would this even happen with any of the 30 teams?
I mean, he has to prove somehow to some organization that he'd be willing to take some coaching. I think that's the bottom line. Because
Yeah.
the word out of Arizona was he was not willing to listen to pitching coaches. I mean, we all know Bumgarner's a red ass, and he's going to do things his own way. And he's always, oh, I did it my way, and that's what got me where I need to be. But I mean, maybe he needs to go to Driveline or whatever the academy is for pitchers and change his name to Mason Saunders and pretend he's a new guy and try to get signed like the rookie from that movie. But there's not much he brings to the table. He
No.
just doesn't really offer much. So I mean, I get it. I think he's looking back, going, "Oh crap, maybe I should have adjusted some things because I could still be playing, and now I miss it." Or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he's sick of Alley. Who knows? I mean, he got back home and he's had enough, and that's enough snake wrestling and wood chopping and riding on the tractor. And I wish I was on a baseball. He probably misses being in the locker room, clubhouse with the guys and that kind of stuff. But I mean, he has to prove that he's an asset in some way, shape, or form. So, I mean, some teams takes a flyer on him. Good for them. But if he's the same old Bumgarner, he's going to get released within a month or two, and that's just going to be the end of that.
Yeah, and typically when we see this in the past with players trying to make a comeback and they're not in spring training, they have those quote workouts or quote tryouts. Well, they'll have like 10 team scouts show up to some random college or JC.
He's throwing 97 miles
Yeah.
an hour. Yeah, wait.
And then they'll like gun him and see him, and then if anyone has an interest, they'll sign him to you could go, like, it will put you in AAA and throw you to the Wolves a couple of starts and see how you do, and then go from there. But we saw that with Tim Lincecum and others as well. But yeah,
Right.
it's just weird, Eric. You don't know what you have until it's gone. Sometimes I'm so happy and thankful for the Giants' 3 World Championships. But we were in such a golden era of Giants baseball. I mean, their best 5-year stretch in terms of team success at any point in their 100+ years of their existence. And we knew it, and we knew it wasn't going to last forever. But then when we see those brief little sparks like 2016, another even year, here we go. And, they were coming back in that game 4 at Oracle, and we're like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to go back to Wrigley, and they're going to slam the door, and they're going to... no, that didn't happen. And then you have nothing for 5 years until 2021, and the magic is recaptured, and they set the franchise record for wins, and no, they ran into the LA Dodgers and lost in 5 games. Again, very close series, right? And there's just been nothing since. And suddenly, it's 10 years ago, Eric. 10 years since their last World Championship. And it's like, wait, what? It just felt like it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, but not 10. And
I mean, think about how long you waited to see them win a championship.
Yeah.
And then now that championship is their last championship. Not even the original one they won. Their most recent championship.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like 10 years. Are you kidding me? Ay. Yeah, it just reminds me of our conversation last week, about my son. I've seen the Niners win 5 Super Bowls, but not since 1994. And they've been to 3 since, and they've lost all 3. It's like, treasure it while you have it, because, I mean, you never know, Eric. We might not see another Giants World Series championship in our lifetime. It's quite possible. I hope not. I hope they win at least 1 or 2 more. But, the way... Yeah, that's right.
What? Nope. I didn't mumble.
The way these droughts go sometimes, it's like, I mean, I don't really think it's going to be a 30 or 40-year drought. But anyway... just saying.
Though. I mean, who knows?
You look back and you're like, man, we had it good. Giants fans had it really, really good. And
I mean, do you know how many people died between Cubs titles? I mean, it's
right.
We're never going to see the
Cubs
Giants
and
win
Red
again.
Sox fans. They went generations.
Billions upon billions of people were born and died.
Yeah,
titles for those teams. So
yeah,
it's possible.
There's no doubt about it, right? The Rangers didn't have one until this year. I mean, yeah, I know they're a younger franchise, but yeah, things go a very long time. I guess the next longest right now is the Indians, right? I think, or the Guardians.
Yeah, 48.
48, yeah. I think that's the next one. I mean, that's a long time. 48, we're coming on 24, so that's almost 80 years for that franchise. Oof.
Yeah, for real, that's 76 years. That's crazy.
That's rough, yeah. So, there's some, 75-year-old Guardians fan out there that's going, God damn it! Just one time, please, before I die.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode.
Poor Drew Carey deserves a title.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Drew Carey. Yeah, there's some other Indians fans I know, and they've definitely been long suffering. I'm not going to, knock them for that. But that'll do it for episode 296. We're keeping up on 300. We'll be doing something special for that. But before then, we're going to probably have another spring training podcast before our season preview. That date hasn't been set yet, but obviously before the start of the season. You can follow everything we do over at torturecast.com. Follow us on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called, at TortureCast. Like us over on Facebook. And, of course, we put everything, like I said, on torturecast.com. You can follow myself at ChadK21, at Eric at 2 Out Hits. That's with the number 2. It's funny, every time I hear that phrase 2 out hits in a baseball game, I always think about you just immediately, right? Because I'm just so used to that handle.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, and the Giants with another 2 out hit. I'm like, with another Eric? What?
Yep. Folks, that's called branding.
It's good
That
branding.
Is branding.
I should just have my handles as Giants strike out again or something like that, because you'll hear that a lot this year.
Stranded runners.
Yeah, batting average with runners in scoring position, something like that. Yeah, runners
Twitter
left on base.
At stranded with the bases loaded.
At LOB.
Yep.
I love it. So anyway, Eric, I know that you had Coffee in the Cove yesterday, and I listened to a little bit of that. So that's going to be ramping up now?
Yeah. Go join Giants Chatter on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, all those places too. We had Coffee in the Cove yesterday, so go check the replay of that. The real we discuss a lot of the Chapman stuff and some other free agents and things around the league. And if you want to hear at the end and zoom ahead a little bit, we talk our dream baseball vacations, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that was a really good topic to touch on because honestly, Giants fans, I talked about being at Oracle for 10 straight days. So if you want to check that out, Giants Chatter, Coffee in the Cove.
Awesome. All right, that'll do it for 296. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for 297. Until then, have a great time and go Giants. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.